Hello again. We're back. Another episode of Yahoo Footballing Weekly with me. What am I? Yahoo columnist Neil Humphreys.
And I'm Yahoo editor Chia Keong, and he is Zee Ko.
Hi, I'm Zee. Glad to be here. Glad to have.
His name actually is Zee Ko.
Zee Ko.
Just
Remember
call me
the
Zee,
Brazilian?
it's fine.
Zee, yeah, because he hasn't quite lived up to the Zee Ko.
So who do you
Not yet,
represent
anyway.
now?
I'm working for Zuzu GP. It's an online platform that looks to bring clubs, fans and businesses together in this current climate.
Great. And you've been a sports journalist for many years in this part of the world?
I have. I used to be editor for 442 Singapore and Asia.
Wonderful magazine.
Yeah, I used to write for him.
Wonderful.
He used to be my editor. I'm working my way along the editors.
I always like 442.
That's great. Yeah. It's great.
It was a great read. Yeah.
And not just because my novel was voted 442 Novel of the Year.
Oh,
See, I had to slip that in,
wonderful.
didn't I? I had to slip that in.
Of course.
All right, let's get right into it because we've got a lot to get through this week. First, I want to say thank you because the comments week after week are building on all of our platforms. I think we're up to 80, 90,000 views alone just on our TikTok clips.
Fantastic.
Never mind all our other
Thank you very
platforms.
much.
Thank you again. And please subscribe. Wherever you get the podcast from, please do subscribe. Right, Han Keong, let's get into the comments. What have we got?
Right, so yes, last week we talked about, why you shouldn't be too worked out over supporting England national team when you are Singaporean. You should probably support Singapore national team as well. So that got
You
a
weren't
lot.
that diplomatic last week. Why
Yes,
are you suddenly backing down?
Because we got a lot of criticism.
He's getting scared now.
He read the comments, basically.
Yeah, he read the comments.
I read the comments.
Yeah.
But never mind. It's okay. Fine. So, but anyway, there are comments for and against this thing. So there's this user agent 742005 from which. But anyway, he says, I couldn't agree more. While we aren't the most exciting national team to support, it's still a Singapore team comprising of Singaporeans. I don't even understand folks who will wear another nation's jersey in Singapore who are clearly Singaporeans. Very nice.
Wow.
Very patriotic.
I got to agree with that one. Thank you, Ruben. What else do we get?
But that's the other point. This TKA news says, look at the state of football here first lah. Tell me what's worth talking about. Basic fact, we don't have anything to look forward to.
Well, before the Angmo gets involved, Zee Ko, Singaporean, journalist, football fan, many years. What's your take? Local football. When local fans seem to care more about other nations over their own.
Well, I don't think it's mutually exclusive. You can be fans for both, a team overseas and a team in Singapore. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Do you only have one favorite TV show that you only watch? Do you not watch anything else at all? Do you only have one favorite shirt over all others? Do you wear the same thing every day? You don't. I mean, it's a choice.
Born on a TV show,
Yeah,
are you?
you're not,
born
you're
in
not.
Singapore, and so you've got an affinity to Singapore.
That's true. But I mean, why do you support any team in particular? Why do you support one team over another? I'm an Arsenal fan because, when I start watching football, they were playing some very, really good football under Wenger when we first came in. So there's that affinity there. But I do support the Lions too. I do support teams in Singapore too because this is where I watch local football. I can't go over to the UK that easily. When I was in Australia, I had a favorite team too. It's normal.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
But by supporting Singapore, where you actually have an influence, you are a Singaporean supporter. You are born in Singapore. You don't have much influence over. Frankly, you don't have much influence over Liverpool Football Club, which I support, or Arsenal Football Club, or West Ham. I mean, not.
No need to bring West Ham into it. But you make a good point. One of the more common comments that I saw, and there were a lot, to his little mini outburst last week, was this idea about quality. That Singapore's not good enough. If they were good, we would watch them. And this is where I risk the wrath of everybody. I actually think that's the weakest argument. Because, take England, because you were talking about England, right? And how Singaporeans are more interested in England than Singapore. If it was all about quality, then did Singaporeans stop following England when they failed to qualify for Euro 2008? No, they didn't. I know, I was there. I covered the tournament. There was just as much interest in the Euros as there were with England at that time. Did Singaporean fans fall away from the EPL in the 2000s when La Liga was clearly in the ascendancy? Galacticos at Real Madrid, Barcelona winning all the Champions Leagues. I don't think they won a Champions League in the 2000s until 2008, I think it was.
2005.
2000. I forgot Liverpool, but it was only 2 or 3 in the whole decade.
Yes,
it was
that's
clearly
right.
the decade of Spain, right? I didn't see a switch. So this argument that it's if Singapore was better, we'd support them. I'm not sure that's true. I think there's something bigger here. And this is where I would like to get your take. I think that we are raised in Singapore from the earliest age to be number one. From the kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
No natural resources. We have to fight for ourselves, defend for ourselves. Number one airport, number one port, number one education, number one. We will not and cannot be number one as a Singapore nation
In football.
ever.
Yep.
We can't even be number one in Southeast Asia. And what does football really need, local football? It needs patience. It needs time. It's not something you can fix just by a few weeks of tuition, fix already. No, it takes years, it takes decades. Local football is almost the antithesis of Kiasuism because it needs time, patience, and a long-term view. There's no quick fix. And I think that's the problem. But the greatest thing about it is, guys, it's Singaporean.
It's always here.
Right?
Yeah.
Local football is Singaporean. You don't have to do anything except follow it. What do you think?
Obviously, I agree with you because we've been brought up to not expect nothing but the best, and we are living in a very good society.
We're almost
Comfortable.
trained. I won't say the word programmed
Yeah.
and get all Orwellian,
Yes.
but that idea we've got to be number
sometimes,
one.
Yes, sometimes also feel like oh come on, why is it worth supporting something that's constantly struggling for the most part of the last decade, but something feels off if you don't. If you say you are a football fan and you are not supportive of the place where the country where you are playing, where you grew up in, I think it feels just out of space. It just doesn't feel like you understand the essence of football, which is still a community based kind of sport.
Yeah.
Which it needs your help to put in to bring up eventually.
Correct. And that's the point, Zee Ko. That's the point that sometimes we don't appreciate. These EPL teams or these England national teams that we latch onto in Singapore have themselves been building across a period of 100, 150 years. Everybody's watching Welcome to Wrexham because it's great with Ryan Reynolds. Wrexham's history crosses 3 centuries now. Yeah. Australia is going through a similar situation. They want this Australian league to be a success overnight. But national leagues take years, decades, centuries to reach a point to rival the top European leagues.
Absolutely. I mean, no arguments there.
Yeah, so it depends on you to really make the effort. I think it's not a very hard thing just to keep abreast of what the national team is doing. And if there's a match on in the national stadium and you are free, go down.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost a lot. Just
go down Friday.
Yeah.
We're going to go. Friday
Jalan
night.
Besar Stadium.
Quick plug for the big game.
Title decider. Could be LB Rex Niigata versus Lion City Sailors. LB Rex Niigata wins, they win the S-League title. So it should be a cracker.
Yeah, we're going to win. And I just want to move on quickly to a comment that's about something that wasn't so winning. We had a comment from Fruit Farts. Great name, by the way, Fruit Farts. Talking about our criticism of the women's game, professional women's game, not even having dressing rooms, right? Appalling state of affairs. But Fruit Farts says, can they generate enough views and money to afford a dressing room? No. End of question. What do you think, Zee Ko?
Well, I mean, if you look at it that way, then is there a point in doing anything in life at all?
Spot on. I agree. I mean, by that argument, public hospitals do not sustain themselves. They need public funding. So what? We have no changing rooms in public hospitals?
Yeah.
Schools are paid for by taxpayers' dollars, right? Do we have no toilets in schools now?
Do they generate views? No.
My daughter goes to school. Your kids watching go to school. What? They can't have changing rooms when they do their PE lessons because the school doesn't turn a profit? Absurd.
This is absurd capitalism.
Yes, my friend.
It is.
We're turning into the socialism podcast. we're on a podcast of socialists. Okay, quickly, because we've got a lot of comments about the Manchester derby. One from Terrorist. Haaland is unstoppable. Fella is going to win the Golden Boot. What do we think about Haaland?
he's not even going to just win the Golden Boot. Like you say in your column, he's going to score like 50 goals this season, I tell you.
Yeah, I saw a comment on that from our mutual friend, Kelvin Pug,
yeah.
who tagged me on Facebook and went, Clive Allen's record of 49 goals should be the least of hard. Have you got any idea how hard it is?
Even in Mo Salah's best season, he's got 44.
The fact that it's only ever been done once by Clive Allen, 1986-87, a confluence of events had to come together. Tottenham went all the way to the FA Cup final, which meant they had more fixtures, and he scored in the final. He had Hoddle, Waddle, and Idealis around him, and his cousin, I believe, Paul Allen. So he had this great side around him. 50 goals has never been done. I mean, even if he tails off and just scrapes over the line and gets, say, 50 or 51, it's still an extraordinary achievement. Yeah. What do you think of him, Zee Ko? You've seen him a few times.
I mean, if he keeps scoring a hat-trick every game, he'll get there. But he's got to tell us sooner or later, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But watching him, it's unreal. I mean, watching him, you get goosebumps over it because it's a different breed of player entirely.
Oh, man.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Yeah. But what did you think about the Manchester derby? Haaland, will he get 50 goals this season? Will Manchester United ever finish in the top 4 again? Let us know your views, your opinions, your feedback, and send them to
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG or Yahoo_MY on Twitter, and Yahoo SEA on TikTok. Yeah.
Right. Now, our friend here, big Arsenal fan. North London derby. I actually thought it was going to be a lot closer, I have to be honest. I mean, 3-1, yes, there was a red card, but 3-1, I thought, wow. For the first time, maybe, I might be getting on the Arsenal bandwagon. Where's Arsenal supporters on this?
Well, it was a good weekend for sure. And as the match went on, we kind of took the lead. And then even though they equalised, the fans were still supporting them, still in full voice. That was good to see. Happy days definitely back at the Emirates for sure. And even though we beat Tottenham by the same scoreline we did last season, it felt very different this time around because the team's playing well. The manager's well liked now for once, and they seem to be going somewhere. There's direction to go. The players are there. The parts fit. It's not just a one-off. You can see the new signings have bedded in well. And Granit Xhaka's been rehabilitated for some reason. So
how do you feel when the media always go, oh yeah, they're good, but they'll tail off somewhere down the line, and they're probably not going to challenge for the league this season. How did the fan base feel about this? A bit patronizing, isn't it?
Well, there's still a bit of that for now because people are still considering Man City the front runners, and for good reason for sure. Yeah, but there's still a point behind at this stage of the competition, but there's a growing acceptance that Arsenal are maybe the second best side in the Premier League. I think. Arsene Wenger actually said it himself too, and he's a happy chappy compared to Sir Alex recently. He said, I consider Arsenal, the second best team in the league, and we can see why week in and week out. So just have to keep going, and hopefully good luck with injuries, with results.
Yeah, the thing about Arsenal that's different this time is they're famed and well known for their quick starts. That's nothing new, but they always traditionally tailed off silly goals in the latter stages, silly equalisers. That's not happening. No. I mean, the thing that struck me about that game, I never felt at any stage that Arsenal were going to be in any kind of trouble again, which is against Tottenham. It was only 2 or 3 weeks ago, Keong, we were saying that this is Tottenham's season. Conte, this is it. I thought this was the first time that Tottenham really looked flat and slightly one-dimensional. Yeah. They didn't really know how to deal with Arsenal's pace. And this guy, Tequila, Saliba, what a player. No wonder they're singing his song, because Saliba had my man, Harry Kane, in his pocket. It was so well defended, so well played, and so flawless. I mean, Saliba not only took care of Kane, he made it look easy.
He's this year's Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah, can you believe we had him for 2 years and didn't play him?
Yeah. So, but they developed him. They sending him on loan, and then finally now I think he's flourishing well.
Yeah. So maybe it's a good sign for Tavares. We sent him on loan to Marseille too.
Well, there they go.
One can hope. I mean, Saliba's one, obviously. The transformation of Granit Xhaka, to me, has been extraordinary. What, a year, 2 years ago, he was a joke to me. He was a figure of fun. He was the player that you made fun of. He symbolised all that was wrong or flaky or fragile, brittle about Arsenal. Now he's come to symbolise this strength, this tenacity. He's running midfield now.
Yeah, I think with Thomas Partey finally fit for a while.
Yeah.
I think both of them are work so well together in the central midfield. I think, and obviously one is confident, builds the other's confidence. Now both of them have that kind of leadership quality. They're driving the midfield forward. And one more thing, we cannot say enough about Gabriel Jesus' influence.
Yeah.
He has been a winner before, and therefore he brings along. And then I've seen passages of I was covering Formula One, by the way, and then I was like sneaking in to watch the North London derby is far more interesting.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, and I'm seeing like Gabriel Jesus just running into the defense and causing panic in the Spurs defense, and you don't see that often in past Arsenal. But this is the extra X factor. You got a young, still young. He's still very young.
I think he's what, 25?
25?
Which is extraordinary.
It's crazy. It seems like he's been around forever.
Yeah.
Far be it from me to criticise Guardiola because he's got Haaland and Haaland is a freak. But having said that, Jesus feels like a bird uncaged, released, any cliche you want. As you said, you're right on this, Keong. He's even playing differently.
Yeah.
He never quite played like that at Manchester City. It was very much intricate, between the lines, quick passing, great to watch. But now he's barnstorming.
Yeah,
He's charging,
dribbling,
you know?
Yeah, he's dribbling past defenders like, oh, that's what I'm born to do.
Yeah, I never really saw that from him before, Zee Ko.
There was something lacking previously too when Arsenal didn't have a cutting edge.
Yeah.
Later stages of Alba and also Lacazette was tailing off too. And it used to be under Wenger ball last time. We used to ping the ball around the box and no one's actually going in.
Yeah.
So it's a huge difference.
And speaking of differences briefly, I mean, when they Manchester City sold both of Jesus and Raheem Sterling, I was kind of thinking they would both, no disrespect, they'd both kind of tail off in the way that many City signings do once they leave. And Sterling, I hate to say, may be going that way. I don't think he's quite capturing the headlines or as we thought he might at Stamford Bridge. It's still early.
A lot of managerial changes.
Yeah,
also.
managerial
So,
changes and state of flux and transitional period. Yeah. That's fair. That is fair. He's about where I thought he would be. Mm-hmm. But that's where I thought Jesus would be.
Yeah.
The odd goal, the odd assist. He's transformed. He's transformed. So on that point, Zee Ko, where are they going, Arsenal? How far is this team going to go?
Well, I think we'll find out in the next few weeks.
No, that's a politician's answer. That's a politician's answer.
It's true. As an Arsenal fan, you always live in eternal hope, but you never know what's going to come. You know,
it's like Liverpool.
Over the past few years,
yeah.
we've gotten beaten down to the point where I will not promise anything. I'll just enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I love it to hear teams talk about their title challenges. West
we
Ham beat Wolves at the weekend barely. And they're out of the bottom three or whatever it is. So different. Yeah, go on. So what do you think, Arsenal? For you,
I think they can go far provided there's no major injuries to the key players.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think they are a bit thin. After the first 11, I think that they're a bit thin on the reserve side. And that's where, if the season goes on and somebody like Thomas Partey...
Oh, that's a big one, yeah.
If he's injured again, or Martin Odegaard...
He's a good player. We haven't mentioned him. Yeah, he's been fantastic.
If he gets injured, if Saliba gets injured, big problems. But for now... Fingers crossed, they're having a very if they are lucky, I think
if your aunt had ball, she'd be your uncle. I mean, you can do this forever.
You look at Chelsea, Man United, Spurs, and Liverpool, the other of the top six. I don't see those four teams having. They all have issues now, and I think Arsenal can be that one team which is everything's going smooth sailing this season, and then they challenge. With Man City.
Right. Speaking of issues, we move over to the other red team, your red team, Liverpool.
Cough blood.
Right. First things first. What's going on at Liverpool first, and then we'll get into the key issue that everybody's talking about. Gary Neville did a fantastic analysis the night before we're recording this about Trent Alexander-Arnold. So we'll get to him. But more broadly, what's your take on Liverpool?
Well, I mean. It's the whole team. You can sense that the whole team is not as intense as before. And then for a team that is built on intensity, ungodly intensity for the last 5 seasons, this is the one season where There's this marathon term, hitting the wall, where you run, and then for a while you can't stop running. It's first, and then somewhere down that 42 kilometers, you hit the wall, and everything just sags.
Yeah.
And this is the exactly what's happening to Liverpool. Every player has hit the wall, and that is a big problem for Jurgen Klopp's team. It's because he has drilled the side. He has drilled the side so magnificently. They cover for each other.
Yes.
They play. They know that, okay, my job exactly when they have to run, when they have to cover for their teammate, and they do it willingly because he selects players who wants to mesh into the team. And that's where you see why Trent Alexander-Arnold is being exposed.
Yep.
It's because it's not he has always not been a good not been a great defender. But he has Fabinho, who was a right back when he first started out. And he has Joe Matip or Joe Gomez, who was also a right back before, covering for him whenever he bombs forward.
Yeah.
And now Fabinho, Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez, Joe Matip, none of them are on top form.
Yep.
And that's when you don't cover properly, you expose Trent.
Yep.
And that's where the criticism comes. And it's happening all around the pitch.
Could not agree more.
And that's where Liverpool are struggling mightily right now.
Could not agree more. The Trent Alexander-Arnold paradox is in some ways bizarre, absurd, crazy, and understandable all at once, right? Because of course it's absurd at a literal level. The man's got 44 assists at the age of 23. He has created 315 chances. The only player ahead of him in the last 4 years is Kevin De Bruyne. Nobody else gets close.
It never acknowledges that.
Gary Neville, who played in the same position, lest we forget, right back, different era, admittedly, said it's absurd to talk about those kind of figures. In Neville's entire career, winning Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues regularly, he never got close to those figures that Alexander-Arnold has reached at 23. The idea of dropping this guy is ridiculous. As Jurgen Klopp said, he is a central part, he is the creative fulcrum of the way we play. But when the other 10 components don't do their part, he's the fall guy. He literally symbolises when we're doing well, but he also symbolises when we're doing bad because he's the one who's leaving the spaces. Why would I, says Klopp, want the best quarterback passer in England stuck at right back when he should be up there creating chances and putting away chances? So it's for the rest of the team, as you say, to deal with that issue, to overcompensate for the fact that your best creative player is often going to be up the pitch. What do you reckon?
Well, that's true. I mean, we know what Trent brings to the team, and the rest of the team has to be built around what he can do. And if the team's form is poor, it leaves him exposed. He shouldn't be the scapegoat for this.
Yeah.
Because he is an extraordinary player.
The point that, just to add, I wanted to get your take on this, but Neville did make the point about defensively. As the team goes forward, as they age, as they go through transition, he is going to get exposed more. In fairness, he said the one thing, the talent that Trent's got, that can't be taught. That's God-given, whatever. He was born with it. But there are 4 basic things that Neville pointed out that you can learn and should learn as a fullback. One was body shape, low body position,
Back.
where your eyes are. And the key one was you have to sprint back every single time. There has been evidence where he hasn't done that.
Exactly. So the thing is that what I feel is he's been unfairly targeted for Liverpool's troubles right now. But at the same time, every Liverpool fan feels that, please, do something about the defense.
Yeah.
And he's younger than most of the other defenders, which means that when most of the other defenders are reaching their retirement, maybe they leave the team or whatever, he's going to still be there. He might still even be there if Jurgen Klopp retires from things.
Yeah.
And once there's nobody else to cover him, then he needs somebody new to cover him, and then he will find himself repeatedly more and more being exposed. And let's say a new manager comes in, and then the manager wants to play another way, more defensively. Then does it mean that Trent Alexander will have to leave Liverpool? Be so because it doesn't fit into a place like it is for Southgate? That is a big problem if he doesn't start to work on this defensive traits now.
Yeah.
He's still young, 23.
Yeah.
I think these things can still be continuously drilled into him. But if he doesn't do it by himself, because I think he's still going to fit into Jurgen Klopp's plans and be bombing forward. If he doesn't do it by himself right now, in the future, his career might be badly affected.
Yeah. Go to Trent. Go to West Ham, Trent. That's where he wants to go. Go to West
Yeah.
Ham. They'll
Just
build the team around him. You know,
Yeah.
David Moyes, you'll be the first name on the team sheet every week, Trent. If you get
Oh,
down to
you
East
wish.
London,
You
get him out there.
wish.
He can play wherever. Can you imagine him and Declan Rice? Now that's a team. There you go.
Why don't Declan Rice come and join Liverpool then?
No. He's too good for them. They're a team in decline.
Wow.
But it's not what we think. What do you think? Are Liverpool in terminal decline? Should Trent Alexander-Arnold join West Ham? What else? Should James Milner retire? I don't know. I've got nothing else to say about
Should Trent
Liverpool.
hire Gary Neville as a personal coach?
Yes, Gary Neville, a right-back coach for Liverpool. There's more chance of us being a right-back coach for Liverpool. But what do you think? Thoughts, opinions, feedback, send them all to...
Yahoo Southeast Asia at YouTube, Yahoo SG or Yahoo_MY at Twitter, Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
Yeah, about the TikTok, we get a lot of our comments on TikTok, don't we?
Well, bits and pieces.
We're
We like-
skewing to the young audience. You know, that's our young demographic because we're such young men
We feel very
ourselves.
young right now. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
we are very grateful for that. So thank you very much. Okay, moving on. We've got to bring it back to Southeast Asia for something that was
It's pretty heavy stuff.
horrific. The Indonesian stadium tragedy that happened at the weekend. As we're sitting here today, at least 125 people have died in the stadium crush. These numbers will probably change. An Indonesian police chief and 9 elite officers have been removed from their posts. 18 others are being investigated for the responsibility of firing tear gas into the stadium, which is banned, by the way, by FIFA. FIFA states very clearly in their rules, tear gas and the like should not be deployed inside a stadium. That's important to say. It's changing, it's evolving, but as we understand it sitting here now, there was no opposing fans there.
Nope.
It was just the home team. A couple run on the pitch to go towards the players.
Not a couple, but a lot.
A few, yeah, and it built. The police came. These are the facts that we know. The police came onto the pitch with riot shields and batons and then fired tear gas. The fans panicked. They ran into the stands and many congregated and went towards one particular exit gate, which I believe was only a couple of meters.
Yeah.
It was too small. There was a bottleneck. And sadly, that's when men, women and children started to get crushed. So that's where we are on that. I'm sure it will change. Han Keong, what's your take on it?
I mean, obviously, the police are being, from the likes of it, pretty heavy-handed. I think they might be influenced by the situation which is very quickly spiraling out of control. But at the same time, shooting a tear gas into the crowd, you create a lot of panic and you create a stampede. As the confused crowd, rightfully, they're definitely confused.
Yeah, just to add to that,
Yeah.
because I have the guidelines here, FIFA stadium safety guidelines state that crowd control gas of any kind should not even be carried, let alone used by stewards or police inside stadiums.
Exactly. So I mean, there's a lot of inquiry going on. We'll wait for that to finish. But I also want to say that sometimes there are deep-seated problems among the fans who are very easily provoked. I mean, and it's not just Indonesia fans, although they are the most prominent. It's the whole Southeast Asia region. We have very passionate crowds, but a slight provocation will kick them off just like that.
No, and just for the context, they only had fans of Arema there who was allowed to watch the match. The opposing team, who was it now? Persebaya, Surabaya, were not even allowed to enter because there was a fear of violence between the two teams.
But Persevere win. The opponents won, and they got angry at the opponents who dared to win at their home ground.
Yeah.
That's why they're trying to move forward to confront the away team. And I mean, we understand that football passion runs very high among the crowd, the people in the population in Southeast Asia. But to react to the slightest provocations, we have seen a lot of times.
Yeah.
Just a little bit and it sets them off, and then there's a lot, and it very quickly escalates to violence and unrest. It is, I think, it's an issue which every government in Southeast Asia should be aware of and try to minimize it. I mean, I've gone to Indonesia to cover.
Yeah, I think we've all covered games in Southeast Asia before.
And that very match that I covered in 2011, 2 died because of a stampede outside the stadium while I was inside.
Yeah.
And inside, they obviously let in more crowd than they're supposed to.
Which is a common problem.
Which is a common problem. They're sitting on the stairway down the aisle. So it is a tragedy which may or may not, which could have been prevented. But I also want to say that the issue of having sentiments rile up so quickly is an issue that we might need to look at ourselves. That's something we need to be calmer about.
Zee Ko, I mean, you've covered games like we have across the region. What have been your experiences? What is your thought on this?
Well, I think it's sobering moments like this when football rightly takes a backseat.
Of course.
Yeah. I've been at matches where the atmosphere has been astounding, crazy. The whole stadium's rocking. But with capacity crowds come more danger. And usually what happens is that the police or whoever's in charge, they got to be ready for situations like these, know what's happening. Like, don't arm your police officers with tear gas canisters when you don't intend to use them. Correct? So I can't say I wasn't there. I don't know if they feared for their lives or they were afraid of the fans coming onto the pitch. But it should never have been at a place where this could even have happened.
It shouldn't have happened that they have to reach the state that they want to use tear gas.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And I feel like I need to add balance of what is such a sensitive issue. Lives were tragically lost. But as you rightly said, this is an ongoing situation for many years now. There has been several examples of violence
and
deaths. I think I got here, it's estimated between 1994 and 2019, there were 74 football-related deaths in the region alone. I mean, that's nowhere near what happened at the weekend, obviously. Indonesia is a country where often teams, I've seen it, teams were escorted into stadiums with armoured personnel carriers.
Yes.
In 2019, Malaysia actually requested to have an armoured personnel carrier for a World Cup qualifier in Jakarta because it's so the atmosphere can be so volatile. This is not a new thing in Malaysia or Indonesia. Volatility, fan violence, police escorts outside. But all of that said, there's the other issue that needs to be looked at, which is sometimes there's complacency with the governments. Some of the governments like to get on the football bandwagon when it suits them because football is extremely popular in Malaysia and Singapore and Thailand and so on. So they're happy to support it. But then the flip side is there's been examples of corruption. There's been examples of maybe negligence amongst the authorities. And that isn't good enough.
No.
So that's what we need to look at next. I'm sure there'll be all kinds of inquiries.
Yeah. And to add to that, they've allowed ultra fans to, for lack of better word, fester in the region, and ultra fans. I mean, obviously they are very strong, passionate supporters of the sport, but it is easy for them to, like I said, get easily provoked by other clubs and things just sparks off and then something will happen. So I'm also wary to say a lot more. But
you can feel it. We're all wary. We're all being ultra sensitive, and we have to be because this has been a national tragedy, and it's been a tragedy for the sport. People have died, so we shouldn't seek to gain political mileage out of it, as opposed to anybody else. But what should come out of this are maybe some of the awkward, difficult conversations that haven't been happening before. Why is there so much violence in Southeast Asian football? This is a question that needs to be addressed.
Let us know of your experiences.
Of course. Yeah. Why has there sometimes been either too little response to some of this violence or too much response? You know, it's either too light-handed or too heavy-handed. This is the conversation that needs to happen. Which will happen. There'll be inquiries, I'm sure, at AFC level, FIFA level, obviously. There has to be some form of... There has to be repercussions. This cannot ever happen again. Because the saddest part is, and I'm not, as you correctly said, I'm not even comparing the loss of life to a football situation. But it's just so sad that Indonesian football is on the rise. Yeah. It's actually on the rise. They just qualified for the 2023 Asian Cup for the first time since 2007. Yeah. They're doing well at national level. The game is booming. That's what we should be talking about, not this. But do let us know your thoughts, your experiences, your views to what is a very sad issue. And our thoughts, obviously, are with the sad lives that were lost and all their families out there. Very sad indeed. All right, let's move it on now. We'll come back to the English Premier League. Your mobs are playing each other. Right. Red on red this weekend. Arsenal, Liverpool. I'm going to take a back seat on this one. Zee Ko, kick it off. What's going to happen?
Like I said earlier, before you stopped me, this will really show us the mettle of this Arsenal team. If we can get past the next few weeks, Liverpool up first, big match. In poor form too. I mean, if there was ever a time to play Liverpool, this would be it. And I think you agree with that too.
Oh, yeah.
And if there was ever a time not to play Arsenal, this would be it too.
Oh, yeah.
Sounding confident.
Yeah.
Sounding confident.
Well, every right to be confident.
Yeah, of course. But like I said, optimistic until the whistle to kick off the match, and we'll see where it goes from there.
And then we'll all be nipped by 2-0.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. Anyway, I agree with you. I mean, I think after the Brighton draw, all of us said, okay, we have Arsenal coming up next, and after that it's Man City the next week. Oh no, that's the most of the sentiments in among Liverpool fans. So yes, we hope that somehow we can turn the switch on back again when it first start but it looks like we'll be pretty satisfied with a draw at Emirates, but let's go for a win. But a draw is, well, it's already bad enough, so what could be worse?
Yeah. I, of course, couldn't care less. No. I think it'll be a good game. What I wanted to ask you, Han Keong, Núñez, the forgotten man. I read a story and I thought, oh yeah, I'd literally forgotten about him. Their big signing, what was it, 80 plus million, 85?
Reaching 85, yeah.
Right? 85 million, more than Haaland, much more than Haaland. A lot of expectations. Initially there was, Núñez is doing fine and Haaland not so well, which was ridiculous after one or two games. But what's happening with that fella?
I think it's stop and start, especially with that 3-match suspension due to that red card and then in the second match. So, I mean, I think for a long time Liverpool fans, we know that to incorporate into Klopp's system, it always takes a bit of time. Fabinho took his time, and I think maybe Jota also took his time to get into it. So we kind of obviously while we hope that Núñez will just hit the ground running, this doesn't seem to be the case. And he's young, so definitely he needs some time to do it. But but obviously right now when we are struggling, obviously it gets amplified. Núñez couldn't help Liverpool.
Yeah,
and that's obviously works against him.
Yeah,
but I think fans will still give him a bit more leeway. Obviously, the critics won't. But
they'll give him leeway, and then a year from now he'll be at West Ham.
Everything goes to West Ham
for 20 million discount.
Every discount will go to West Ham.
20 million cut price buy. He'll be back at West Ham.
Yeah, just like Andy Carroll
doing the business. All right, give us a prediction then. Come on, boys. Red against red. What's happening? Arsenal, Liverpool. I'll kick things off. Arsenal, Liverpool. It's at Arsenal, right? 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1. I'll go for 3-1. Why not again?
1-1.
1-1.
And Everton, Man U, we've got to get our Man U boys in there. Man U, I think Everton might win. I think Frank Lampard is doing okay with the defence. No, I don't really care. I really don't. I'll go for a draw on that one. But Casemiro has to start playing. What is Casemiro thinking? He's sitting on the bench. I've got 5 Champions League medals
And it's Scott
I
McTominay.
can't get ahead of Scott McTominay. What is going on? So I need to fix that one, and then we'll see how. Quick prediction, Everton Man U.
Well, hopefully Erik ten Hag respects Ronaldo enough to actually play him this time round.
I think he'll get on. He has to get on.
But the team is too good to continue that far, so I think Man U might actually win this one.
Okay.
I think Man U will win it 2-0.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm not an Everton fan. To say the very, very least.
Actually, you said you predicted Man U to win and Liverpool to draw. So which team are you supporting actually?
Liverpool. No.
He's got some severe splinters from that
Yeah.
fence sitting.
Oh.
All right, well, let us know what you think at the usual places. Let's finish it off, Keong,
Yeah.
with a star signing that he'll know something about from Australia. This is a great news, and it's great news for Singapore.
It's our daily dose of Zen. If you follow Daily Show, there's a little thing to add, something light-hearted to end off before our show. This Newcastle just signed this 18-year-old Australian. I mean, typical. I mean, there's no news except the name caught my eye. The name is so brilliant. Garang Kuol. Garang, man. Yeah, every time we hear them say Garang, and all of us around this region like, whoa.
Damn
cool.
fierce, man. Damn fierce. But for the benefit of those who don't know, you better explain what Garang means.
Actually, I'm also struggling to think how
It
to
means
explain.
fierce.
Fierce.
In Malay.
means-
It means fierce
putting
in
your-
Malay.
yeah,
But he's a
effort.
good young kid. He's already played for the Socceroos.
He has, yeah.
He made
Made
his debut, I think, last week.
Youngest Australian debutant since Harry Kuol.
Yep.
Wow. Damn fierce, man.
Damn fierce, man. Damn fierce. Damn Garang, man.
Damn Garang. So if it doesn't work out, Garang, in Newcastle, you've got to come to the Singapore Premier League, right?
Exactly.
'Cause
Lion
you'll-
City Sailors were waiting for you.
You'll be the
Waiting
one
for
name
you.
that everybody will know. All
Not
right?
West Ham?
No, we don't need these rejects. I don't want these Newcastle cast-offs. Get down to the Singapore Premier League. Garang, we'll see you there, my friend. And we'll see you at all the usual places. Comments, views, opinions, feedback, send all of it to...
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY on Twitter, and Yahoo SEA on Twitter.
And
TikTok.
subscribe. Zee Ko, absolute pleasure, my friend. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem.
And we'll see you all next week. Thanks, guys.
See you.
Garang.
Garang.
Damn fierce.